Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about preclinical evaluation, right? So in this preclinical evaluation, before going into the details, see actually for development of any new drug or for increasing attrition of older drugs, doctors should know overall idea of the manner in which the new drugs are developed and marketed. So for synthesis of a new drug, it takes at least 10 years and costs about 500 to 100 million US dollars. There are various approaches for drug discovery or invention, like plant sources. So plants are the oldest sources of medicines, and randomly also you can synthesize the compounds which are tested for pharmacological activity, and by biotechnological methods like recombinant DNA technology, through which also you can synthesize chemicals or drugs like antibiotics, growth factors, etc., which are developed later, right? So here in this preclinical studies, after synthesizing after synthesizing or after identifying a prospective compound, it is tested on animals to expose the whole pharmacological profile, right? So, after synthesizing a compound or after identifying a prospective compound, it is tested on animals so that the whole pharmacological profile can be exposed. So, experiments are generally performed on a rodent or non-rodents. So, now, experiments actually these preclinical trials are performed on rodents like mice and rats, and also on bigger animals like non-rodents like monkeys, monkeys, rabbits, etc. Right. So as the evaluation progresses, like as the preclinical evaluation progresses, the pharmacological or unfavorable, non-pharmacological or unfavorable compounds get rejected at each step. So at each step of the pharmacological evaluation, the unfavorable compounds, that is, those compounds which are not useful for therapeutic efficacy, can be rejected, right? And those which are not safe, they are also rejected during this preclinical evaluation, right? So as the evaluation progresses, unfavorable compounds are rejected. So when these are rejected, only a few out of thousands, if you have selected thousands of compounds for the preclinical trial, then out of those thousands, only a few compounds will reach the stage when administration to man is considered, right? So that's how preclinical evaluation is done. So here you can see this preclinical evaluation, that is nothing but non-clinical trials. That is, clinical trials are performed in human beings. Preclinical trials are performed in rodents or non-rodents, right? So these are actually done for discovering any new substance or any new medical devices, right? And this is done in animal subjects. And for what purpose it is done is to test whether these drugs are safe in humans or not. So before administering this drug to humans, you have to do the experiment in animals, right? So the main aim of this preclinical study is to maintain a ultimate safety profile. So safety profile can be reached by performing these preclinical studies, right? So what all you are going to identify here is you are going to have a new medical device, or you are going to have a new drug, or you are going to have a new gene therapy solutions, right? So new gene therapy solutions means these gene therapy solutions are the sections of DNA which are introduced as a genetic material into patient cells, to treat or prevent any disease. So that is the gene therapy. So these things you are going to find out in preclinical trials, right? And after that, after identifying a compound, then you are going to test them on the animals, as I've already discussed, right? So that you can expose the whole pharmacological profile of that drug, right? Mostly rodents selected are mouse, rat, guinea pig, hamster, rabbits are non-rodents, right? And after doing these experiments, then you can carry out these experiments in larger animals. So these are the smaller animals, and you can carry out these animals, you can carry out these experiments in larger animals like cat, dog, and monkey, right? So as the evaluation progresses, as I discussed earlier, that unfavorable compounds get rejected at each step, right? And so out of those selected thousands of compounds, only a few will reach to the man administration. Only few will reach to the administration in the man, right? So this is the diagrammatic representation of drug development process, where during drug discovery, for the discovery, you are going to take some 10,000 compounds, and that drug discovery will be carried out for about 5 years, right? Out of these 10,000 compounds, in the preclinical study, only 250 compounds will be taken. That is, remaining all have been rejected due to their less pharmacological efficacy or less safety profile, right? So these 250 compounds are taken into preclinical studies, and these preclinical studies are done in rodents and non-rodents, right? So these preclinical studies are carried out for about 1.5 years, that is one and a half year, right? And after that, you are going to get a new investigational new drug. IND is investigational new drug. So this is submitted after this is discovered, then you have to perform these experiments in clinical trials, that is in humans, right? So in humans, you are going to do these experiments in three phases, in four phases actually, right? So phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. So in phase 1, you are going to take or you are going to consider about 20 to 100 volunteers for uh, for doing the experiment, uh, for uh, uh, for identifying your pharmacological profile of the drug. You have to give that drug to about 20 to 100 volunteers, and in so here how many compounds you can get? Only about 5 compounds out of 250 compounds. So 250 compounds you have tested in preclinical studies, and only 5 compounds you are going to test in clinical trials, right? So in clinical trials, phase 1, you are going to select only few members, and in phase 2 again you are going to increase the number of the individuals, right? So here the number has been increased from 100 to 500, right? And in phase 3 again number has been increased from 1000 to 5000. So in thousands you are going to select the members, right? So these 5 compounds are tested in thousands of members, and this clinical trial will be carried out for about 6 years, right? And after that, a new drug agent is submitted, and that is approved by the Food Drug Administration, right? FDA will approve only one drug out of these 5 compounds, right? So this also will take about 2 years time, right? After that, after one drug is approved, that drug you have to test in many number. So here you have increased up to 5000, right? So again, after it is marketed, so phase 4 means you have to market the drug, right? So after the drug is marketed, then after entry into the market again, though after purchasing this drug, many human beings can take this drug, and you will be checking for the test for the efficacy in different traces in different individuals. So that also will take about 2 years time. So all these processes are carried out for developing a new drug, right? So new drug development process undergoes drug discovery process, preclinical, clinical trials. FDA will review, and after that, FDA means Food Drug Administration will review the drug, and after that it is marketed into the in after that it is marketed in on a large scale basis, and that is phase 4 trial, right? And the next one is, see here, there are several steps are involved doing a preclinical trial. So the first one is identifying a target, right? So for identifying a target means which are as you have selected a drug, and that drug where you want to target that drug. That means if at all if the person is having any heart disease, then you want to target the drug to that site itself, to the heart itself. Or if at all if the person is having any renal failure, then the drug that you want to test has to go and reach the kidneys, right? So you have to identify a drug target first, and after that you have to develop a bioassay. So for developing bioassay, so what do you mean by bioassay means? This is actually a quantitative biological assay, and it is used to estimate the potency or concentration of the agents or drugs by observing their effects on living animals, right? So you have to observe the effect of those drugs on living animals, and at what concentration you are going to give the drug. So that thing will be done. So these tests will be done in vivo or in vitro. In vivo means we are going to do the experiment in living animals. That is in vivo tests. And if at all if you are performing the experiment in tissues or cells within the lab, then that is in vitro. So if you are doing any cell culture systems, then that is in vitro. So you are going to do both type of experiments, in vivo and in vitro tests, for identifying the potency. That means for identifying the concentration of the drug and their effect on the living animals, right? And the next one is, third one is investigating the procedure. See here, the third one is screening the drug in the assay, right? So screening the drug in the assay means here you are going to investigate the procedures that qualitatively assess a compound effect on targets, right? So which type of procedure will qualitatively assess a compound effect on target, that you are going to find out, right? And next one is establish effective and toxic doses. So fourth one is establish effective and toxic doses. So two type of doses, effective dose and toxic dose. So effective dose is that one where which by which you are going to have pharmacological therapeutic effect, whereas in toxic doses you are going to have toxicity. That is, it is a lethal dose, right? Maybe a lethal dose, or maybe a maximum tolerated dose that may reach to a toxic dose. So which one is the effective dose, which one is the toxic dose, that you are going to find out in step 4. And the fifth step is file for approval as an investigational new drug. file for approval as an investigational new drug. So the United States FDA, that is Food Drug Administration's investigational new drug product is the means by which a pharmacological company obtains permission to start human clinical trial and to ship an experimental drug across state lines before a marketing application for the drug has been approved. That means, so this company will get a permission to start human clinical trial with this FDA approval, right? With this FDA approval, you will get a permission to start the drug, to start human clinical trials for the drug, and thereby you can have a marketing application for the drug that has been approved. So these are the 5 steps you are going to have in a preclinical trial, right? And the next one is, yeah, these are the different types of studies included in preclinical trials. So the first one is a screening test, and the second one is tests on isolated organs, bacterial cultures, and third one is tests on animal models of human disease, and fourth one is general observational test, fifth one is confirmatory tests and analogous activities, sixth one is mechanism of action, seventh one is systemic pharmacology, quantitative test, pharmacokinetics, and toxicity tests, right? So here we are going to discuss this in detail. So the first one is the screening test. So in the screening tests, actually these are very simple, and you can perform these tests very rapidly also. So here what you are going to do is, you are going to screen the activity, right? For example, if you are studying any analgesic activity for the drug, that means if at all, if analgesic is pain relieving, right? So if you are going to test for the analgesic activity of that drug, you are going to perform this test to indicate the presence or absence of that analgesic activity, right? Or if at all, if you are going to do experiment in diabetic rats or diabetic patients, then you have to screen the compound for the hypoglycemic activity. Hypo is decreasing, glycemia is sugar levels, right? You have to screen the drug for the glucose activity, that is whether your drug can decrease the increased glucose levels. Those things you have, those activities you have to screen out here. So the first test that you are going to do here is the screening test. So you are going to screen for the activity. Which type of activities? Like analgesic or hypoglycemic activities. And the next one is test on isolated organs, bacterial cultures. So these are the preliminary tests. You are going to detect specific activity like antihistaminic activity, antisecretory activity, vasodilator activity, antibacterial activity, right? So antihistaminic, antisecretory. So all these activities are done on isolated organs, right? So in vitro tests you are going to do tests on isolated organs or in bacterial cultures. So these are the preliminary tests to detect a specific activity, right? And next one is tests on animal models of human disease. That means whatever the disease, whatever the drug you have identified, that drug should treat the condition in humans, right? So that same disease should be there even in animal models, right? So which type of disease you are going to test for means, suppose animal models used for seizures in rats, that is epilepsy in rats, or genetically hypersensitive rats, or if you are going to do experiment in tuberculosis, so these diseases should be same in humans, right? So these diseases, whatever the drug that you are going to intend in human use, so the same effect should be there, even in animals. That is, you are going to test for the same disease, we should be there even in animal models also. And the next one is general observational test. So general observational test is that, so here you are going to test for general observations. General observations means you have to give doses to small group of mice, right? So tripling doses, and you have to observe for the hidden effects. Hidden effects, right? Those effects cannot be seen from outside, right? So these hidden effects you have to check for, right? So for this, so these are the clues for drawing the profile of the observed effect, right? So these are the general observational tests. And next one is confirmatory tests and analogous activities. So these confirmatory tests, so before that, before this test, you have just observed for general observations, general changes, right? And here confirmation tests, right? So confirmation test means here, whatever the compounds that you are going to test for, you have to study them elaborately. That is, you have to confirm the activity by their characteristics, right? And if at all, if there are any other similar activities, they also should be checked for, right? Suppose these antipyretic, anti-inflammatory, and analgesic activities, all these three activities are more or less having same characteristics, right? So if your drug, whatever the drug that you are going to test for, if they may have some similar other activities also, right? So those activities also you have to check for. So these should be confirmed. So this is the confirmatory test. And next one is mechanism of action. So in the mechanism of action, uh, you have to find out the mechanism of action of that particular drug. So where it is going to act, and which type of receptors are blocked. So for everything, receptor active signal molecules are receptors, right? So signaling proteins, right? So these signals, where it is going to act on. So which type of receptors are blocked, which type of receptors are activated. Those things also you have to find out. That means what is the mechanism of action of that particular drug, right? Suppose if at all, if you are going to test for hypertension, that is increase in BP levels, right? So if your drug is having antihypertensive activity, then whether it is blocking the action of alpha receptors, or whether it is blocking the action of beta receptors. So these are the main agents for increasing the BP. Alpha receptor activation and beta receptor activation is may is are responsible for increase in the BP, right? So the drug that you are going to test for may be having antihypertensive activity, and that may block alpha receptors or beta receptors or angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor also. And AC is angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor, right? That may function as angiotensin enzyme inhibitor, converting enzyme inhibitor, or calcium channel blocker. So all these activations of alpha receptors, beta blockers, and activation of angiotensin converting enzyme, and activation of calcium channels will lead to increase in the BP, that is hypertension, right? So your antihypertensive drug may act on any of these receptors, right? It may have any of these mechanisms, right? So that thing also you have to study. And next one is systemic pharmacology. So in the systemic pharmacology, Systemic pharmacology. So you are going to study the effect of the drug on various systems, that is on various organ systems, like primary action may be some, that is that may act on one type of system, and secondary action may be on different type of systems, that is that may have its activity in nervous system, cardiovascular system, respiratory, renal system, right? So irrespective of the primary action, the drug may have its activity, may show its activity on other systems also, right? That thing also you have to study. And the next one is quantitative test. So in the quantitative test, that means potency you have to find out. So here dose response relationship. So dose response relationship means according to the concentration, your response also may be increased, right? So maximal effects and comparative efficacy with the existing drug. So already one drug may be there, that drug also is used for treating any disease, right? So that comparative study, and the new drug that you are going to find out, that efficacy and the previous drug's efficacy also you have to compare. And whether any change with the dose also, that also you have to study. That is with the dose also sometimes the response will be increasing, right? So if at all, if you are increasing the dose of the drug from 2 milligrams to 3 milligrams, 3 to 4, like that, then response may be increased from 2 to 4, 4 to 6, like that. So this dose response relationship also you have to study, right? And the next one is ninth one is pharmacokinetics. So pharmacokinetics is nothing but you have to find out the absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, volume of distribution, and half-life of the drug, right? So all these should be quantified, right? So these things are studied in pharmacokinetics tests. So you have to test for pharmacokinetics also, the rate of absorption, rate of distribution, metabolism rate, excretion rate, all these things you have to study for the drug. And next one is toxicity tests. So toxicity tests are, we have studied in detail about this toxicity tests in the previous classes, right? So these toxicity tests like acute toxicity, subacute toxicity, chronic toxicity, right? So acute toxicity means, as you have already studied, so this is the single dosing study, and it is given to small group of animals, and observed for any effects, observed for any mortality rate within 1 or 2 days or few days, right? And in this acute toxicity study, you are going to have you are going to look for LD50 values, and that is LD50 values is the dose which kills 50% of animals. So at which dose 50% of animals are killed, that also you have to calculate, right? And if at all, if there is any damage to any organ, that is organ toxicity, is also examined by histopathology on all animals, right? So this is the acute toxicity. So you have to study for acute toxicity with that particular drug. And next one is subacute toxicity. So subacute toxicity is in this subacute toxicity study, repeated doses are given for about weeks, like 2 to 12 weeks, right? So depending on the duration of intended treatment in man, doses are selected on the basis of ED50. ED50 is effective dose. So at what concentration the 50% of the population is treated. So ED50 and LD50 values, on the basis of this, doses are selected, and animals are examined for any effects, for any changes in the effects like food intake, body weight, hematology, and organ toxicity, etc. And third type is chronic toxicity. So this chronic toxicity in this drug is given for 6 to 12 months, and effects are studied as in subacute toxicity. and this is generally undertaken concurrently with early clinical trials, right? So after that, just after this chronic toxicity study, after studying this chronic toxicity study, then you can go for clinical trials, right? So these are the various tests that you have to perform in preclinical studies, right? And the next one is, so here, as you have performed the preclinical studies, after that you have to go for clinical trials. That is, you have to perform these experiments in human beings after doing experiments in animals, right? So the whole tests are carried out under standardized procedure under the guidelines of GLP. That is, GLP is nothing but a good laboratory practice, right? So this GLP applies to non-clinical studies. Non-clinical studies means for preclinical studies, that is, in the animal experiments, right? So this GLP is conducted for assessment of safety and efficacy of chemicals to man, animals, and environment. So when a compound deserves trial in man is identified by animal studies, the regulatory authorities are approached to WHO, right? So WHO, on satisfactory issue on satisfaction of WHO, it issues an investigational new drug license. So WHO, after performing the experiments in animals, then you go for clinical trials means, then you, if you want to go for clinical trials means, then this WHO will issue an investigational new drug license. So the drug is formulated into a suitable dosage form, and the clinical trials are conducted in a logical phased manner, right? So initially the drug is given to few subjects to minimize any risk. That is, when you are doing experiments in when you are doing experiments in human beings, initially only few subjects have been few subjects. So as I have discussed in this diagram, wait. So in this, so only a few people have been selected in the initial stages to minimize any risk, right? Later you can go for increasing the number. That is, large numbers are selected with only relevant monitoring, right? So standards for the design, ethics, conduct, monitoring, auditing, recording, and analyzing data and reporting of clinical trials have been laid down in the in the form of GLP. Sorry. Right. So all these standards for design, conduct, monitoring, auditing, recording, all these have been laid on in the form of GLP, that is good clinical practice. So these guidelines are given by the International Conference on Harmonization, that is ICH, right? So national agencies like ICMR in India have also framed ethical guidelines for clinical trials. So adherence to these provides assurance that the data and reported results are credible and accurate. So clinical studies are divided into 4 phases, right? So before that, just I want to revise what is the importance of preclinical trials. So the to determine the dose you can determine toxic dose, whether it is a effective dose or whether it is a toxic dose, or whether the drug is having a pharmacological action. All this can be determined by preclinical trials, and it is the and the next one is whether you can go for clinical trials. That also you can assess here, right? By the guidelines given by the regulatory body like GLP, right? And then safety of the drug on animals can be assessed before giving it to the human beings. And later on, you can check for the kinetic profile of the drug and based on this, route of the drug administration in humans also can be selected. So these are all the important points that you have to consider in preclinical trials, right? After that, you go for clinical trial. So clinical trial, in this clinical trial, so here you can see the early phase, late phase, and post marketing phase. So in the early phase, as the preclinical studies will give you an investigational new drug, that investigational new drug is taken into phase 1. So here, in the phase one is nothing but it is the human, it is tested for, it is this phase 1 is otherwise a test for human pharmacology and safety, right? So the here, the drug is administered to human by qualified clinical pharmacologists or trained physicians, where all vital functions are monitored and all resuscitative facilities are available in phase 1. That means, uh, you, as you are checking the drug profile, drug activity in human volunteers, right? Healthy human volunteers, sometimes patients, right? So as you are checking in healthy volunteers, how many people you are selecting here is about 20 to 80 people you are going to select. So you have to start with lowest estimated dose, and then you can increase the dose gradually, right? So all the functions are monitored, and if any toxic reactions are observed in this phase one, in this phase 1 also, some resuscitative facilities should be available in phase 1, right? So the main aim of this phase 1 is to attain safety and tolerability, to detect dangerous effects, right? And next one is phase 2. So phase 2 is, see here in the phase 1, you can have a ceiling effect of, you can find out the ceiling effect of the drug also, that is maximum therapeutic dose you can find out. And ceiling effect means after attaining the maximum therapeutic dose, even if you increase the dose, then also you will not get any beneficiary effect, right? And next one is phase 2. So in this phase 2, so this is nothing but therapeutic exploration and dose ranging, right? So here, it involves about 100 to 500 patients, right? And the main aim of this phase 2 is that to establish therapeutic efficacy, dose range, and ceiling effect, right? So here, so it is carried out in about 2 to 4 centers, sorry. Uh, and the study may be blinded or open label or controlled randomized, right? So you may not know for which activity the drug is tested for, right? So that is blinded. So the study may be blinded, or sometimes you may know the pharmacological activity you are going to test for, right? So this is the phase 2. And next, phase 3. So in this phase 3, this is nothing but therapeutic confirmation or comparison. So in this study, it is actually a randomized double-blind comparative trials. That is, patients also will not know the pharmacological activity of that the drug, and also the physicians or the pharmacologists also will not know the drug profile, right? So this is double-blind comparative trials, and this is carried out on a larger population for about 50 to 500 to 3000 people, right? And the main aim of this phase 3 is that to establish value of the drug in relation to existing therapy, right? Already you have some therapy for that ailment, that is, you already have a drug for treating that particular disease, but then you want to compare this with a new drug, that is new drug with more beneficiary effect you want to find out. So that thing also can be confirmed in phase 3, right? So new drug application is submitted to licensing authority, that is WHO. If WHO convinces, it gives permission for uh, for marketing, right? So that is that can be carried out in phase 3. So when WHO gives permission in phase 3, the drug can be marketed, that is nothing but phase 4. So in the phase 4 post marketing, this is the post marketing phase, that is after marketing the drug into in market also, you may have you have to test for the reactions of the drug in many number of people, that is post marketing surveillance studies. So after drug has been marketed for general use, further therapeutic trials involving special groups like children, elderly, pregnant or lactating mothers, or patients with renal or hepatic disease, etc., are undertaken at this stage. So modified release dosage forms, additional routes of administration, fixed dose drug combination, etc., may be explored. As such, most drugs continue their development even after marketing, right? So these are all the things that you have to consider after preclinical trials. So after preclinical trials, then the drug has to be tested for clinical trial. That is, those drugs have to be tested for human beings, starting with less number of people, and then you can increase the number of people, and the dose also, starting with the low dose, then you can increase the dose of the drug, and you have to find out the therapeutic dose and also the maximum tolerated dose, right? So here you can see compound success rates, right? If you have selected 5,000 to 10,000 compounds in phase 1, these compounds have to be screened, and only out of 5,000 or 10,000, only 250 may enter into the next stage for clinical testing, right? The remaining drugs may be rejected as they may have some pharmacological inactivity, or they may have some they may not have some they may not have any safety profile, right? And out of 250, again only 5 will enter into clinical testing, right? So at last, only one drug may be approved by the Food Drug Administration, right? So for discovering one drug, you have to test for about 5,000 to 10,000 compounds, right? So these are all the processes that you have to follow in clinical trial. Then only you can market the drug. That is, and after marketing also you'll be checking for any changes, for checking for the therapeutic activity, right? So we can stop here, right? You have learned about preclinical evaluation and also different phases of clinical trials, right? Thank you.